Oh, shit. Okay.
All right.
Good to know. Hey, nerds. It is the Spirited Nerds back another night to go over The Flash, the 2003 box office, not a mega hit. What would you call it? Uh,
A,
the
s- a soft hit.
the soft hit.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Uh, back to recap that movie. We'll get into our thoughts and what we thought about it, and then have a little fun at the end. But first, just ask that you kindly follow us on all the things, all the social media. Leave us a comment, leave us a review. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want to see more of or less of.
Yeah, we need
And
suggestions
yes,
now more than
yes, we do.
ever with the strikes.
Otherwise, going back into the vault and just pulling out movies and just being like, "What do we think?" Which I kind of like, but I don't
Yeah.
know. We just want to make sure you do. But before we do that, we are the podcast where we kind of just drink and talk things. So we're going to start it off with what we're drinking. So, David, what are you drinking tonight?
Okay, so a couple weeks ago, or a couple episodes ago, I mentioned I was going to start trying a little bit harder, and so I did. I have bourbon, but I have Eagle Rare 10 year because I actually got to the ABC store when they did their limited run announcement. So I'm drinking better bourbon than I would usually drink.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Peaky,
also
peaky
tried
meat.
hard this time. So this weekend I'm going somewhere, so I bought all these ingredients. So
Okay.
it's like the drink is called the Trailer Park Punch, but because I'm not making a giant punch, I just made like a mini version of it. So it's a shot of
Mm-hmm.
tequila, half a shot of triple sec, and then I did like an orange flavoring instead of like a juice, and then it's supposed to be with limeade, but I don't have like the whole thing thawed. So yeah, it's just tequila, like orange flavoring, and triple sec. It's super good. I was really shocked, and some lime. So almost a margarita, but without this the sweet and sour.
I'm just confused by the name.
Yeah, well, okay. So
Yeah,
the
it
trailer
doesn't
park
sound.
Yeah.
the trailer park punch is supposed to be frozen limeade concentrate,
Hmm.
tequila, water, triple sec, and then lime juice. And then so I'm not sure where the name came from. Maybe someone in the trailer park invented it, but that's the punch.
Maybe the frozen limeade brings it down. And that's why they're like this
Maybe the
trailer park.
Maybe.
concentrate. Yeah, who
Maybe.
knows? But it's
um,
super good.
ooh, we like that. I am keeping it kind of. I really am going to try again one day. My freezer in my fridge and everything is low. Blackberry, Austin East ciders, blackberry cider. I don't know if I've had this flavor, but it's really really good. I really really like this brand.
It's a cider.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I like a good
We've had it
cider.
Yes, it's a
before.
good
I've
company.
had yeah I've had the peach and the blood orange. Blood orange is what kicked it off for
Mm,
me. The blood orange is really good, and then I've had peach. So this time I picked up some blackberry.
You
nice.
also
Really
say,
good.
yeah, I had the BlackBerry one time. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't messed with them yet.
Nope. The only one I feel like I haven't tried is just their original
Regular
regular
ass. I'm
cider.
never gonna try it. I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Definitely
Yeah.
go back to the blood orange though. All right. Uh, so we're gonna continue. We're gonna keep our DC train rolling. We're gonna keep it rolling. We watched The Flash. Came out this year, 2023, with Ezra Miller, the main actor playing the Flash. Who else is in this movie? We had Michael Keaton. We had Ben Affleck. We had
A lot of
Michael
cameos.
Shannon. Yeah, Michael Shannon, who I want to play Zod forever. I never want them to take him out of that role.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of people playing in this movie. Um, so I don't
We
know
should
where to start
probably
with this.
start with Ezra.
Mariah,
We
you
did,
clearly
not
have
not
to.
to not to get it out of the way and not to push him aside, but I think it's important to talk about the controversy of Ezra Miller and like why this movie didn't do as well as it could have done in the theaters.
You
It,
want to talk about that before we talk about the actual movie?
I was about to say. I feel
yeah,
like that should be like an after.
because Mariah's ready to go.
No,
All
that's
right,
we
well,
can save it to the end. That's fine. But I it's a big giant like rock
you want
staying
to
on
knock
top
out
of
like a
this movie.
synopsis
So
first? Or?
I was gonna say, so the movie is basically where the Flash uses his superpowers to travel back in time to save his mom. So if anybody has ever seen the Flashpoint paradox, it really is pulling a lot of the story from that story where his mom dies in his timeline, so he goes back into time to try to save his mother. When he does that, he accidentally he realizes that there are no metahumans, so there's no Aquaman, there's no Superman in his timeline. The Batman isn't the same, but his mom is still alive. But him going back in time, unfortunately, did bring around some negative side effects, consequences that he has to try to undo. And then he eventually learns that can't bring her back. It's kind of that fixed point as we've talked about in Marvel, where there are things that need to happen in your timeline or in your with your story. So he goes back to his time. So um I will say, not to talk about the controversy around Ezra at this moment, but there was controversy to the point where a lot of people did not want to see this movie. So, did you two see this in the theaters or did you see it at home? When did you see it?
I saw it originally. I won free tickets through One Iota to go see like a pre-screening. So the
Oh,
pre-screening though was it wasn't the full thing. So I saw it the first time, and then I went and saw it in the theater the second time with Eric, and it wasn't completely different, but there were definitely a few different scenes, or things were taken out, or things actually made sense that didn't make sense to me the first time because they added it in. So it was a little bit different. And then I just watched it on my TV last night, bootleg, and it looked kind of weird on the TV. Um,
because you were watching a
not
bootleg version.
no
Yeah,
no
I
no
mean,
the CGI well the CGI part, like I when Ezra plays against himself in the theaters, I thought it looked really good. But last night when I was watching on TV, like I could really see like the CGI ness of like when it was like when he was side by side. So it was weird.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was just the screen or how it's filmed. It's like better to be seen like in a theater, so you don't like catch all the small details of like the bad CGI they had. But I don't know. But yeah,
David,
so saw it a couple times.
then that's really weird. That's interesting that, and we'll come back to that, that you saw it the very first screening of it when, like you said, it wasn't finished yet when they originally
Mm-mm.
showed it to people. So yeah, when people did see it the second time in theaters, they did realize that, hey, this isn't what I saw the first time.
Yeah.
So we will come back to that. David, how did you end up watching it?
so I ended up watching it both times at home. I mean, like in the last week, I don't like I had no intentions on really watching it, and then me and my oldest son were just kind of hanging out and watched it the first time, kind of as a joke, and then watched it the second time, not even knowing we were going to talk about it, just because I really liked it and wanted to watch it again. So yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So I too just recently watched it at home over the weekend.
How
So
many times did you pay for it?
Hey, no, hold on, man. Tell the truth, man.
what do you mean?
You said over the weekend,
Okay,
nigga.
truth. I started it over the weekend. I got a good 40 minutes in. And yes, I rented it on Amazon. And on Amazon, when you rent it, you have 48 hours to watch it. And if you do
Yeah.
not finish it in 48 hours, it's gone. Well, Beyonce also happened this weekend for me. So I unfortunately did not get a chance to go back in and finish it before I had to drop another 19.99 on it to rent it again. But I'm telling myself, I'm justifying it with, if I saw it in theaters, I would have paid about that much between me and my kids to go see it. So I
Mm.
essentially just paid
True.
box office price at home to rent a movie, which is, it sounds insane when I say it out loud like that.
Yeah.
But what can I do? Whatever. Um the so when we were doing the DC rankings for the other movies, we started with the super, like the hero cast. So in this movie, we had the Flash, we had General Zod, we had Batman, we had Wonder Woman.
Yeah. For a
Am I
second.
missing anybody? Supergirl.
So I say Supergirl and like
That's about it.
15 different Supermen. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when they did the original stuff.
Yeah.
What did you think about the superhero lineup?
I never like forced cameos, and Wonder
Yeah.
Woman felt forced.
Mm-hmm.
Aquaman felt. I mean, so Aquaman, even though it kind of serves a purpose as an end credit scene, it also felt forced.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people didn't. I like the Superman part when they were, everything was kind of coming together. You could see all the different ones. I enjoyed it. Uh, I enjoyed his relationship with Batman a lot,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I
that.
didn't. I thought Michael Keaton was going to annoy me as Batman, but I
Why do you
think I
think that?
came because it felt like a gimmick, like just throwing Michael. Like, because at first I was really excited about it, and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this is just going to be fucking gimmicky. But
Right.
telling you, I came out the other side of this. Like, he's probably my favorite Batman now.
Yeah.
He wasn't before.
Now it was close before between him and Christian Bale because it sounds weird. I think Christian Bale is a better Batman. Like if I had to picture who Batman was, I picture Christian Bale, right? But
Right.
Michael Keaton is Batman to me. Like the way he's cool as shit about it, so he kind of brings his own thing into it, and I like watching him as Batman more.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Mariah, you have thoughts clearly looking at the Trello notes about the cameos. One is
yeah,
about
man.
the Ray Fisher and the cyborg, and was
Yeah,
a very
man. I mean, I read like after we watched it, I was like, they totally just like cut him out, and I guess he was removed because he doesn't want to do anything that one of the executives that was on it is a part of, and it was all after that whole Joss Whedon comments that he kind of came
Yeah,
out and said, and so they just kind of. I mean, this film's been in the work for like a decade. I mean, I think it's been being filmed for a very long time, so I'm not sure if he was in it at some point and then he got cut, or he just said no altogether. Because I think those allegations came out sooner than when this all like started being filmed. But
Mm.
they could have at least shown something. I mean, they even show like, which I assume is Henry Cavill's back when he's like doing his laser beams at
yeah,
the lava. So they could have like shown something of Cyber. I mean, I know they mentioned him like he looks up Victor and he's like, oh, he's still a track star, but that's like kind of lame.
yeah, that was a
So
lame way of including him, but not including him.
yeah,
I thought.
right.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, at least he's
Mhm.
doing good.
Yeah.
yeah,
He could have looked him up and found out, he was dead or
Coke
something.
addict.
Yeah,
Yeah. Face
yeah,
down in the
true.
gutter.
yeah.
Could have been worse. um, I thought some of the cameos were weird to me. Like, it was kind of like a deep cut into nerddom. Like you had to know that at some point Nicolas Cage did
yeah,
test stuff for Superman. I had no
yeah.
idea that he did it.
Yeah.
So I was wondering why I was looking at like Nicolas Cage as Superman and why he had such long hair and what was happening. Had no idea.
Eric
Um,
had talked about it like a while ago. So when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, this is what you were talking about. And apparently the scene where they have him with the spiders, Kevin Smith wrote that scene for like a movie or for something like a project, and they
right.
made it
Yeah.
realities, which is pretty funny.
Yeah. For a Superman project where he couldn't be in his traditional suit and
Yeah,
he couldn't fly. Which how do you make Superman not be in his iconic suit and not fly? Very
Yeah.
weird.
you make him
I,
Nicolas Cage.
I feel
Yes.
like the flying thing would bother me more than the suit thing. I feel
Yeah,
like I
You
would be okay with Superman in a different uniform completely. But if you tell me Superman can't fly, that bother me.
I feel like you'd be okay with it. Half of the comic book world probably wouldn't. Um
of course.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So very I think that is a big deal to not have him in his iconic blue and red suit. Um yeah, so and as far as like the cast and how they interacted with each other, we definitely liked the Batman Flash
Yeah,
interaction. How about the Flash interaction?
I loved it.
Loved
I
it. Yeah.
really enjoyed the way that, and this is why you talk about Ezra Miller and art and artists. Like he is so good, and in the way that he played off of himself, and he took like his character that he is now, which is a little goofy and a little whatever, and then you put him with like his 18-year-old self, who's like obviously going to be much more annoying and much more like giddy and ridiculous. and he just really did well playing those two characters, kind of this more mature-ish, Flash Barry, and then his younger Barry. I really liked it a lot. It was funny. It was really good writing. Yeah.
David, what were you
Yeah,
gonna say?
the exact same thing. I thought it was amazing. Um,
Yeah.
those scenes where he kind of looks at himself like he really can't stand himself. Like he does
Yeah.
such a good job of playing somebody who's going through all of this emotional shit, and somebody who's just along for the ride. And there's like
Yeah.
a really tight window there where you can overdo it, and he was right there the whole
Yep.
time. Like didn't never cross either way into being unbelievable or too
Mm-hmm.
laid back. Yeah, awesome job.
Yeah. There was a scene that when they were in the room, the two of them together, and Flash was running around in his room. The older Barry was running around in his room, and he slowed down and he looked at the monkey on the dartboard. I
Mm-hmm.
was like,
Yeah,
"Why are you lingering on that?" And then when they were in the Bat Cave, and he was like, "You used monkey as a dart, as like a
Yeah.
dartboard. Like, what is I?" I could tell it was very,
Because that's something the mom gave him when he was young, and he lost
yeah,
his mom, so that was a cherishable item. Whereas Barry,
hmm,
who's always had the mom, it's just another gift or whatever that the mom gave him, not really important.
yeah. That scene, that whole scene, that was a pretty, that was a tough scene. I was like, oh, this. You kind of you forget that he doesn't have his parents. It's
Yeah.
not just his mom that he lost. He lost his dad also. So he
Yeah.
yeah,
doesn't have his parents, and the other one does have his parents, and he's acting like a spoiled brat. Where the
Yeah.
other one had to kind of grow up sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tough man, poor thing. I felt awful for him.
No,
Um,
Barry, like he really has one of the like really saddest, like, I don't know, characters and like development, and like, I mean, his whole thing is to go back in time to change the past to save his mom. Like that is like what the Flash is trying to do, and it's I don't know, it's just sad to think about. Like that's your whole like mission, is just to go back in time and
yeah.
save your mom.
yeah, can't do it. I wish I could go back in time and fix some things, but no, stay the
Nope.
course. Uh, the villain in this movie, General Zod, didn't really feel like a villain to me. It was interesting. I don't really feel like there was a villain in this movie. This movie felt like a just
Yeah.
like a life lesson type of movie, I
Yeah,
guess. I don't know how to say
Yeah.
it. Yeah. It didn't feel like they were fighting anything other than themselves.
yeah. I think
I don't
Zod was there just to put an exclamation point on what they already figured out, that look, you can't change it.
right.
And
Mm-hmm.
because because just so you know you can't change it, here is this exact same scenario that turned out great last time without us, but now here we are helping, so we figure it's going to get, it's going to get resolved even quicker because we've got Supergirl and we got Batman with us, and there's two Flashes, where before Superman had to do this all by himself. So this should be a cakewalk, right?
Hmm.
And then they figure out, shit, we lost and we're going to keep losing. And so the villain wasn't really Zod, it was just,
Mm-hmm.
them having to realize that there's some shit you can't change, even though
Yeah.
it's really going to fucking suck that you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that whole everything was everybody was about to just die. That is like Zod won in that world. That's so weird to
yeah,
me because we're not used to seeing them win.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird to me. Oof. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm also
know.
kind of surprised. I actually thought going into it, it was going to be more of like a reverse Flash, as the villain kind of story. Like that's where they were headed to. But
Yeah.
I do like this kind of change in the way it ended. Maybe if they were planning on doing more movies and they could have like the reverse, I mean, because the reverse Flash, anyways, kind of is always in the background manipulating things. So if they would have done like a trilogy, maybe they could have had him at the end, like some type of
yeah,
mastermind or something. But I don't
I was
I
actually
think we'll
kind of
get
shocked
that
they
far.
didn't do Reverse Flash too because a lot of this felt so much like Flashpoint Paradox. I was just like, you're already right there. Why am I not seeing Reverse Flash? What is happening? Why
Yeah.
am I not getting that? I am still kind of unclear as to the other Barry that was like crystallized and
The
stuff as
Dark
to what he
Flash.
was. What was he? He
He
wasn't
was the
Reverse
dark.
Flash.
No, the Dark Flash.
Oh,
So
is
you
that a
Yeah,
real
see it. So
character?
when young Barry starts to create his costume out of the old Batman, it already kind of has like it's a little bit darker. I think that was like the first steps of creating like the Dark Flash. I don't know if he's like comes from a past or this is like something that they created for it, but I mean, he's just like the Barry who can't stop, who cannot give up, who wants to continue trying and trying and trying and trying, and then this is what happens to you. You like become
It
dark and
consumes
bitter, and
you.
it consumes you. Dark Flash is just the consumed Flash.
Yeah. Oh, I felt bad for him. Poor little thing. Don't know if he's a real person or not. I hope, or a real comic character. It just threw me off. I was like, we're right here, even to the point where he's electrocuting himself to give his powers back. I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of the scenes. So we start off with Batman and is driving through Gotham actually. So Barry is being called into Gotham to come help because Batman is off doing bigger and better. The Falcons have stolen a virus and he's off stopping them. So Barry can
Mhm.
handle this little hospital that's about to fall into the ground. Um we get our first CGI scene from that in him going back and forth and then the baby shower scene.
Throw that whole scene away.
I mean,
Are you
Though,
man,
serious?
though I could not
oh
st-
man,
those CGI babies were so cringy.
hilarious,
Mariah,
hilarious.
that
But
was the
Here's
funniest
the
I'm
thing.
thing.
talking about the visual, the
I
visuals.
know, but I
The
mean, but
visuals were
That
hilarious.
those I just couldn't
you
get
have
over those CGI babies. They look too
But
good.
I think that was
pe-
what made it so funny.
people were talking about it like it was just bad CGI. So I was like, when this scene started to come up, I was expecting to see bad CGI, but you recognize they did that on purpose. Like that's how they
Yeah.
wanted the scene to look. It was just supposed to be a funny scene. Like they
Yeah,
weren't
but
they didn't want real babies flying out a window. Like
no, of course, but it just looked it was too I didn't like the way it looked.
It felt very Deadpool-y, Ryan Reynolds-y to me
yeah,
with the way the babies and everything were flying out the window. And then I also thought it was very funny. I was like, someone sat in a writing room and thought of how many different ways can I kill a baby falling out of a hospital window? And
Yeah.
and put it in and voila, we saw
my
it. And
man
it
had
was
a whole bottle of acid just flying at his face.
the little shard of glass slicing open the teddy bear or the baby or the stuffed
Yeah,
animal. I thought it was gold.
I loved it.
Mariah, not impressed.
Okay, I will say this. So, like the first time I went to go see the movie, obviously it was like free. It was like fans, it was people who really wanted to go. Man, that crowd ate everything up. They were laughing like crazy. It was like, why? I mean, this throughout the whole movie. The second time when it was just people going, it wasn't as big of like the reaction to like that scene or others. So I think it just depends on, I don't know, your interest
A
into
lot of
it or your like. But
people hate watched this, and I could tell because like
oh yeah,
the people who
definitely.
did talk about it on Twitter, I mean, it was they hated every second of it. And sitting down to watch it, I was like, man, I'm getting into some bullshit here. And I'm like, the fuck was everybody so mean? Is a strong word because it's a fucking. I mean, it's a movie company, whatever. It doesn't
Yeah.
have feelings, but like people being really fucking mean about it to the point where
No,
I was expecting something terrible.
no, I think there were a lot of things to like quote unquote hate. I mean, besides whether you didn't like Ezra Miller for the things he's done, you like I don't even know his name, Gavin something or whatever the CW's Flash, and you wanted him to be the Flash.
Right.
You are not okay with Ezra being, he's identifies as they and non-binary, so maybe you're not okay with that. So I think there's just a lot of things and a lot of different groups that could come up with some reason to hate this movie, but the directing, the writing, like I mean, it's
The
not a
writing was
bad movie.
awesome. Even if you
Mm-hmm.
hate the actor, that baby shower scene was gold.
Top notch.
Gold.
Top fucking notch.
Shauna, I know you're just joining us, but we're talking about the infamous baby shower scene from The Flash, where he had to rescue falling CGI babies out of a hospital window. And the writer thought of how many different ways can I murder a baby that's falling out of a hospital window? And it went from fire to a microwave to Davis like acid, lots of different threats coming at these babies. And the Flash saved them all.
After a
So
snap.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was our hero.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Oh, and he saved the therapy dog.
Oh
So
yeah,
Oh, that
he did save the
that's
dog.
that's important to note
In a
yes,
because
very
otherwise, we
obvious.
all know I think would have turned off the movie had he not. So
would have. I will say it was funny in the credits watching the therapy dog watch everyone around him get saved, and then he's
Yeah,
watching
my man thought he
everything's
was
hitting
done
him.
for.
Didn't you? I would have thought so too. So it was nice to see that hand come up at the bottom and save him at the very last second. So um we fast forward a little bit and we get to the bridge scene where they finish they save the day. Batman's standing there. Wonder Woman is has them all tied up with the lasso of truth around them, and we hear Batman say some truths, and one of them is, if I really wanted to, I could end crime, I could end poverty, but basically he's a billionaire, he could just end it in Gotham, he can totally just wipe it out. So at this point the writer is hinting at it's a choice for him. He doesn't have to let this crime run rampant in Gotham. He can stop it at any point.
He's
He just
just
chooses not to.
spending his money, enjoying his free time. Nothing better to
But
do.
it's funny because in the comics we do see him donate his money, like it's the hospital, and there are things that he gives his money to. Like even in the movie, the hospital was named
Yeah, I
after
saw
his
that.
mom, so he's giving his money away. So is he not donating to the right causes? What's
I
Bruce
don't think
doing?
I don't think he's giving his money away to the point. If you are a billionaire, you have not given enough money away.
Yeah,
Like I mean, and I think
can't
that's
give
what he's
enough
getting
away.
at. Like he knows he could do more to actually solve these problems if he wanted
Hmm.
to, but building a hospital makes him feel better about beating up pickpockets at 2 a.m.
except his appearances as a billionaire, because people would want to see Bruce Wayne doing those things. So it keeps him out of
Yeah,
like being suspicious. But he also seems like he's crunched the numbers and he knows exactly what the tipping point would be for giving too much money and then not being able to have his little side gig. But yeah,
I just
I'm
thought
not
that
that good with numbers. I couldn't do it.
I just thought that was funny. I now want someone to look into Bruce Wayne's givings, charitable givings, because I don't want to know where they're going. Because I'm on this now too. If you could stop this, Gotham could be a beautiful place, but instead, it's the shit show that we all know and love.
yeah.
Um, the Chrono Bowl, when he figures out how when he accidentally runs too fast and he runs into this Chrono Bowl, which is the powers of his, or basically where all his powers are held. We see
Hmm.
that he can see all of his life events right in front of them. If he runs fast enough or back fast enough or whatever, he can turn things backwards, step into different times. Mariah, you have thoughts on this? Looking at the notes.
I think that the idea is really good, but I'm not sure if I really like the execution. Like, I don't know. I don't even really have a suggestion to give on how I think it was better. But if I saw someone do it differently, and I would like recognize that this looks better than whatever we just saw, it just looked too artificial, too fake. Like maybe if they were like 2D or cutouts or coming at him, or I don't know. I just didn't like the way that it looked. Even after the third time, I was like, it did not grow on me.
Like the arena stadium
Yeah,
style?
well, like the way that the people look, like the way the character, like the images that were going around look. I didn't like the way that it like looked. It looked like weird, like I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was.
I mean, the same reason I also thought the babies were cringy. Like, I just didn't like the way that they looked. The execution just wasn't there for me. But I like the idea. It was different.
Mariah hates babies. Go ahead, David. What were you about to say?
Yeah, I mean, again, once again, the babies were perfect. Um, but I do agree. Once the ball stops and he's in that arena and you see all the different faces and you can tell they're CGI and they're also there's just something a little bit off about them and it
Yeah.
makes it uncomfortable. Like I
Hmm.
know I could be watching something better. And like you said, I don't know what that better would have been, but I know that what they showed me wasn't their best idea.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree. I thought it was I think I just chalked up as just to the CGI was just funky in this movie in certain areas, and this was one of those areas. I did
Yeah.
like the idea of it. Yeah, the execution was a bit off, but you know, can't win them all, I guess. Um, so he goes back in time. He actually picks up the right tomatoes, puts them in, but then accidentally gets stuck and meets himself.
Mm-hmm.
Shauna, you have talked about in the past where your superhero, your superpower would be time travel, and you have very distinct rules to where if you meet your past self, there are certain do's and don'ts that you must follow when you meet yourself.
I don't know if I actually would remember all the rules that I set out last time because I felt very passionate in the moment. But here's something that I did want to clarify here because this is something it's about, and it might just be a me thing. So I'm gonna put it out there to the group. You tell me how you think about these things. So I don't know if it was already said. I didn't watch this movie, but to me, time travel and multi-dimensional are different things. When I think about time travel, I think about myself going back and forth in time. Multi-dimensional travel, I think about like laterally through time. So I think maybe
Mm-hmm.
Madness, I think at one point America Chavez is like, oh shit. In my mind, she's just in a multiverse. She's in a universe now where the dinosaurs still exist. She didn't go in the past. Like, you can't do both. What is happening in this movie? Is he doing both? Because that is to me, that just breaks my
So
brain.
In this movie, oh, David, you go ahead. You explain it.
Michael Keaton actually does an amazing job of explaining,
With
um,
spaghetti noodles.
yeah, how it works. So essentially, it's not linear, and that's where a lot of people in this movie, like the way they explain it, a lot of people mess up because people see time as a linear thing where it's not. It's moving forwards and backwards and sideways and every which way at the same time. So if you in this world are to travel backwards, you're not just breaking that one point, you're breaking an infinite amount of points at one time, and you become almost like the center of that fuck up or the center of that confusion. So it's not so much of a back in time thing, it's back in time in one of an infinite number of directions.
Yeah. See, I don't like that. My brain doesn't compute that way. Like, I feel like, and I do get it. Like, I understand it, but I'm like, now I feel like like, I feel like each timeline is its own little multi-universe. So, like, once you go back, it's like, if you,
Right, but
the
if you look
timeline
at
is
it the way they're
altered, to
trying
me,
to
that's like, it's
explain it,
like a branch. Maybe is it like a Loki? Did Loki do this to me? Did Loki break me?
maybe.
Yes.
But I mean, like, the way they're explaining it here makes sense because so he's lived his life where his mother died, his father has been in jail this entire time. Like every second of that up until the point where he goes back in time has already happened. It's etched in stone. That is a world that has existed. So when he goes back, there's no guarantee he's going back to that world. Is what they're saying. So he goes back, and you can kind of see it, which is probably why they did the arena the way they did, so you could see all the different points in the universe or in the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when Dark Flash knocks him out of the Speed Force, he's where he wanted to be. Like, he's still in the past in his life, but he's in a multiverse where now his mom didn't die, which is what he wanted, but that's not his timeline. In his timeline, his mom
Mm-hmm.
did die. There's nothing he can do about that, which is what the entire movie's about. But
Okay. Okay.
when
So
you
that
when you
makes
watch it, it'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah, and they talk
that.
about like
But
each.
go
They
ahead,
talk about
Mariah.
like each like timeline or each like I don't know what timeline I guess. Everyone has like this. There's like same like intersections. Like they all have an Alfred, or you know they Batman's always lost his parents, or there's always that one common denominator.
Okay, I also didn't see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but
Which is also similar
a
to
canon
that.
then.
That's kind
That
of how
sounds
they
like a
explain it
canon.
as well.
Okay, so back to Thanks for going on that little roundabout with me, everybody. I don't know if you all covered that already, but I appreciate it. But back to Denise's question, I guess none of my rules, because they are different things. Like like when I'm thinking about rules of time travel, I'm thinking about staying in my own like branch of the time, kind of sliding in and out, and because I also don't think that you should branch off and affect the future. I like get in, get disguised, blend in, see what's up, maybe get some information and everything, but like you don't really want to interfere. You don't want to break. I think maybe that's like my golden rule of time travel. Like, don't break the universe, but it seems like a lot of these movies are about people trying to break the universe, and maybe that's also where I got my golden rule from.
And Shauna, that brings up yeah, no, but that brings up a point, and I feel like we've talked about this maybe with the multiverse of madness. I'm not sure, but sometimes these multiverse movies science too much for me to where I stopped thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about anymore. I too thought this was a linear thing. I thought he went back in the past, and now you're breaking out spaghetti noodles, and you're telling me that no, he. I'm like, what? The page full of math sentences was already too much for me. Now you're throwing in science, and I know I sound like a dumb girl probably saying all this, but it was just too much science for me, and I was trying to follow it, but it got a little much at times. So,
well, I mean, it's a fictional universe, and so there's science, I'm sure, fictional science bound. So I think you get a pass on that. I think you get a pass on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think Neil deGrasse jump into the podcast queue and like start judging you for not being able to understand this. I think you're safe.
Last time David and I were arguing about flight and how it's possible, and David had to say,
I was about to say,
true. I was yelling, screaming, listening to that. I was like, "You too! Oh my gosh!" Also, definitely sided with David. Just
yeah, I know. I sometimes I forget.
In my head, I've already told myself that I'm not going to spend the next 45 minutes talking about how time travel works. So
no, we're not.
Well, thank you for doing the little roundabout for explaining that to me, because to me they are separate. Sounds like in this movie they mashed them up. So I would have been right along the lines of Denise being like, I'm going to suspend my beliefs at this point and just watch this movie.
It is what it is. Just chalk it up. It is what it is. I know we've already talked about the two of them meeting each other and kind of how he's back in his mom, kind of holding her. I love you more. That kind of the little touching scenes. The part that I thought was kind of weird was he spent a good 5 minutes telling himself that he didn't want to be a superhero and he didn't want to do it, and telling all the reasons why he didn't want to do it. But as soon as he found out what day it was, come on, we gotta go make you a superhero. I was like, you just told him that he didn't want to do it. Now you're gonna go force him into electrocution to become the Flash?
Yeah.
I don't know. Mariah said,
I got nothing for that. I don't.
No, I just thought it was interesting to me. I don't. So the Michael J. Fox, the Eric Stoltz Michael J. Fox thing was funny. I didn't know that. So the way they kept harping on it in the movies, I actually paused the movie and Googled it. I was like, why do they keep talking about this Eric Stoltz Michael J. Fox thing? Who is Eric Stoltz? And at first, I thought it was just somebody who looked like Michael J. Fox, but no, apparently he is somebody who completely filmed a good portion of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Did not like the direction that the movie was going, and they just replaced him with Michael J. Fox.
Yep.
Pretty interesting.
Quick side note: there's a really cool series on Netflix called "The Movies That Made Us," and Back to the Future is one of the movies they did. They talked about that a lot, about how the movie almost just got completely canned because nobody wanted Michael J. Fox in the movie. And then he got on set and did such an amazing job. He kind of turned everybody's perception around because they were just going to knock it and get the insurance money, call it a day.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, that whole movie was riding on Eric Stoltz, and when he bailed out, they was like, we are fucked.
The fact that he filmed as much of it as he did.
Now we know who the household name is, so we know who came out on top of that one.
Yeah. Not Eric Stoltz.
Yeah. No.
I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. I might not be. Is it
I don't even know
Stoltz?
if I spelled it right when I wrote it down, just so I remember his name. So I apologize to Mr. Eric Stoltz if we're not saying it right. I don't know.
I don't. You didn't like the direction of the movie. I
Can
like
I
Back to
be
the Future, so.
super honest and say I've
Oh
never
fuck
seen the
you.
movie?
Oh okay. All right. I'll take that. I thought you about to say you didn't like it.
Never,
I retract. I retract my fuck you. I'm sorry.
never seen it. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Well,
And I
I
was
was
Marty
gonna
Mc.
say, David, you only get one fuck, so you get it again by the PG-13 rules. Just kidding, we're rated
Man.
R.
I was like, are we PG-13? When did that happen? That switch happened.
It
Oh,
happened.
it can't. I
We're going to get
apologize.
there at some point, but I think Mariah was right
About
that the fuck in this movie being funnier than the one in Guardians.
you
But
know what?
I still maintain that the one in Guardians was funny as shit. But that second time when I watched it through, because I didn't really catch it the first time. That second time when I saw it, yeah, it was funnier.
And it was
I don't
even
know if you want to get.
funnier at the preview because they like in the movie, so we don't even know George Clooney was in it. He says, "Who the fuck is that?" And then the screen goes black. So it was kind of like this really like great ending of
Oh
the movie
wow.
where you don't get to know who was next.
Oh, I was about to say, what f bomb are y'all even talking about? But okay, it's at the very end with George Clooney.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's funny. I remember chuckling about it on the couch. But if you had asked me about the f when I was going through the notes, I said f bomb. What f bomb? I guess
Yep.
because I'm just so used to saying it. The fact that it's even a thing is a thing. I just I don't know. I'm just why is it such a big deal? I don't know. I don't know. Um. So in this world, no metahumans. There's no Arthur Curry. He calls up who he thinks is Arthur Curry's dad and finds out that it's not him. His mother is not the Queen of Atlantis. Um, there's no Wonder Woman. There's no superheroes for him to call on except Batman. It's always a Batman apparently. Everyone's face stops at Batman. They go to they go to the Bruce Wayne's mansion actually, and it's just an old decrepit homeless looking man living in there, and a fight ensues,
hmm
and they make him listen, and they go to a very very convincing Batcave, which actually was the rebuild of Tim Burton's Batcave when
hmm
Michael Keaton was Batman, so it was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard it took about 3 months for them to build it. They had the original Batmobile from his movie in there. And he was so actually like bored and just lonely because Gotham was the safest place in the world at that time. So he didn't have any crime to fight where he was. So just a
He just
lonely
Yeah.
old
stopped.
man.
Yeah.
And they had the cool little like callback to the movie with the laughing bag.
Yes.
That was funny.
Yes. And the let's get nuts. Oh.
Yeah.
They did a lot of callbacks in this movie to Tim Burton's Batman, and it really
Yeah.
is weird that they chose that Batman to kind of connect us instead of the Christian Bale Batman, like David was saying.
No, no,
You,
no, because Christian Bale's Batman wouldn't work in any other setting than Christopher Nolan's world. Like Christopher Nolan's Batman isn't the type of Batman that would ever be around a Superman. I don't think. He's real grounded, like real to earth, and I couldn't do it. But Tim Burton's Batman, like that world was crazy enough to where, oh shit, like Zod is real in this world. I would expect Batman to have a better, like this Batman to have a better handle on it than Christian Bale's, because all he did really was just get in street fights with dudes. He wasn't really tackling any like super villains or anything.
Or to be so helpful to like Barry, like who Barry is and like the Flash. I don't
Yeah, no,
see
he's
any other
nah.
Batman being so like willing to jump on board and
Right.
get
That's
down
what I'm
with
saying.
this
That's the
crazy
crazy part.
kid.
Like I see Christian Bale as Batman and I love it to death, but I couldn't see him doing this.
so then every Batman so far, except for Richard Patterson and Christian Bale's Batman, probably could have done this because they had Ben Affleck in the movie and they had George
Nah,
Clooney in the movie.
nah. Ben Affleck couldn't have done what Michael Keaton did, and I don't think George Clooney could have either. I don't think so. I think they got the one. I feel like if Michael Keaton had said no to this, they would have just taken the movie in a different direction. Because I don't think any of those other Batmans would have done it.
I think
Of,
George
like-
Clooney.
I was gonna say, is it certain kind of campiness of that generation of Batman? Because like Batman
Yeah.
started kind of campy in the movie, like kind of just like super.
Yeah.
Like the Tim Burton ones were wacky and like just anyways. But Batman got
hmm
darker and more isolated, and
Right.
more I'm my own guy. Like would never take on a sidekick, cooperate and be a team player. So do you think that's why they needed to go back to like type like that flavor of Batman to kind of match the feel of this movie? I didn't see it, but this movie didn't feel like dark. And having seen Ezra Miller doesn't seem like he could go dark. And then I guess the question is, did he do dark well?
Very well. Yeah. This movie got
okay.
really fucking dark, and
Mhm.
Oh,
it got dark really fucking fast, and it kind of goes over a cliff, like, because I mean, as you're watching it, and it sucks for you because obviously we're ruining it, and for everybody else that
She loves spoilers. You
I
know this about her.
But-
love spoilers. Do not worry about that. But
Yeah.
this is I enjoy these conversations anyway because I can just ask the questions.
yeah. So I mean,
So,
we're,
yeah.
we're gonna get to it, but they lose. The good guys
Mhm.
lose, and they lose like a million times in a row,
Right.
to the
Mhm.
point where they understand that they are never going to win, and that the world they're trying to protect is just going to die. Like this, like it's all like when you from the second you meet Batman, it's pretty much
Mhm.
all fun and games until it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can start on that path. They figure out that they need to go find Clark Kent. So they're looking for Kal-El Clark Kent. And they think, okay, nothing is in the United States, but we found this anomaly in Russia. So we need to head over to Russia because that's where this alien has entered into our world. So they go into Russia looking for Clark, only to find that there is no Superman in this world. There is a Supergirl.
hmm
So rescue her, bring her up to the light where she kicks ass. I will say, and I know there were some scenes in here where we were talking about CGI and stuff.
Mhm.
And then just the fights in general. This is the first time we did see Batman in action when he was standing up above and said,
Yeah.
this is gonna hurt," or whatever he said. I don't remember. He swoops down and hits him. What did we think about these fight scenes in these little dark spaces inside before they rescued her?
I liked them a lot. I like how they played Batman as older. He was way more defensive. He was way more, okay, you know what? I'm not going to try to dodge 800 bullets. You're just going to shoot my bulletproof fucking bat wings, and it's going to fucking hurt. Like, they were moving him, like
Yeah.
it was getting to him, but I think he did a great job. That one part where the young Barry tries to just knock dude out, and he
Yeah.
like he really thinks that he's fucking bulletproof, and he gets fucking shot. He's like, "Yo, we're not fucking bulletproof," and the other guy's like, "When did
Why
I
would you
fucking
think
say
that?
like yeah? Why would you think you were bulletproof?"
Why would you think that? Yeah, it was interesting. He had to move around. Like it was funny trying to watch him maneuver, being new with his powers and in an enemy kind of setting for the first time.
Mhm.
Like when he grabbed older Barry and moved him out the way, he was like, "What did you do?" And it was just like, sorry. And then he just started blowing chunks everywhere. It was kind of
Yeah,
it was funny seeing them in battle. Another scene I thought was funny was that scientist scene with the coffee, where
oh, he's just
Batman
staring at him.
just,
Yeah,
yeah.
he just expected him just to run and hide because he's Batman. He's just staring at him. He flinches and he's just like, "What?"
What?
And then pulls out that gun.
Yeah.
That was funny. They're inside a lot fighting. They're doing a lot of callbacks in this movie to the Tim Burton Batman. One of them is the "How much do you weigh before I blast everybody up" and everything like
Mhm.
that. But then they get us outside because they're doing a good job of dodging everybody and not really engaging in fist fights. Like you said, David, Batman is being a lot of defensive, just like shoot at me and let's just get out of here. We're gonna run a lot.
Yeah.
But then when they get outside, and as we know, with these Kryptonian aliens, their power comes from the Earth's sun. So getting her outside and letting her charge up is going to show her strength. So this is where they
Yeah.
actually are more on the offense for the first time when she gets outside. What did you think of Supergirl and her fighting when she got outside?
I mean,
Nothing.
I ain't really have no
Yeah.
notes. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. It was great.
Okay. Mariah, I didn't know if you'd have a thought about it because you're very iffy on the CGI. Now, this one was a
Yeah.
very CGI.
You know,
Oh, no,
when
the
they
CGI
first
was
pull
not
her
great.
around, no,
Oh,
they
there
like
we
pull
go.
her
Okay.
around, and you see the hand's like extra long and weird, and then she like comes
Yeah.
up. No, it didn't look good, but it just had this, it happened. But she did good.
The
Sorry, I
murders were
thought I
great.
warmed that up a little bit better. I was
No,
like, how's it better? The CGI? Oh no, fuck the CGI.
No, the murders were outstanding. The CGI left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, she looks pretty good. I'm not so sure about the way that they're actually filming this battle, but she looks cool to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked cool as shit.
She was.
And I don't know if having Supergirl was like a choice from the beginning, or if that was a choice added later with all the Superman kind of change or drama.
happening.
I don't know if this, like, yeah, I don't know if you guys saw anything, like if they were just trying to introduce this new character and this was just like the time to do it. And
be real honest, if you two hadn't seen this movie and wanted to talk about, to this day I wouldn't have seen this movie. I have no idea.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to
The back history and the why and the setup and everything like that.
Yeah, like the run up. I didn't really do it because I had told myself I wasn't watching this movie.
Yeah.
And then I think I really think that conversation we had last time about Jonathan Majors, I was like, you know what? This is me not watching this movie isn't going to stop anything. He already got paid for this shit. Or sorry, they already got paid for this shit. I'm going to watch it because I wanted to watch it initially. And I mean, I know a lot of people didn't do that, but I'm glad I watched it. I wasn't ready to like I said, I didn't take any notes, so I wasn't ready to just sit down and chop it up. But this is the direction we went in. So
I think the other challenge was that this movie's production and pre-production since like 2018 or 2019. Like it's been around.
It's been a long time.
If they did about why Supergirl versus Superman, I think people just stopped caring for a while. At some,
but
it's 2019, and we all went, "That's not relevant anymore." Like,
I was about to say, talking about how long ago they actually started production, there's a good chance that she was the original one to be in the movie. Because I mean, who wants to? Like even when they killed Superman in the movie, they didn't really quote unquote kill him. But do you really want to see Superman just laid out like that 127 times? Zod just whooping his ass? No, we didn't see that.
Yeah,
I don't think
sense.
we wouldn't believe that.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So,
yeah, we don't really have an emotional connection to her. So
yeah,
if she's a casualty, she's a loss.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you the way that she wrote for him once Zod said, "Yo, the baby ain't make it," and her eyes got like wild red. I mean, I was on her team, but I didn't really feel what I would have felt if that had been Superman that got stabbed in the chest like that.
You know what's funny? When she got stabbed in the chest, I'm just because I didn't. To me, that wouldn't kill Superman. So I'm like, when she got stabbed in the chest, I was like, huh. Didn't think anything of it. So when I saw her actually die, but before we get to that part, how do we feel about her as a whole? Because at first she was confused. They were like, "You need to save humans. We want you to help us save who? The humans that enslaved me and kept me, down in captivity." But then when she saw humans, she was like, "Oh, are humans good? You came back to help me, so you must be good, even though those humans are." So she kind of had this weird battle that she was going back and forth with, but she got over it really quick. But it was really weird.
I guess it could have been like a win-win. You get to, kill Zod and also, save the humans, but I don't think that was her like main objective.
I guess, but she just kind of was very trusting of humans, then she wasn't at all. Then she was, but then this human, it was just I don't know that
So
her
if
storyline was kind of
it felt like the way it wrote out was when she landed, they just took her and threw her in there.
mm-hmm.
She didn't get to see any other people, so
Mm-mm.
she's only seen the two extremes. She's seen the people that put her in that concrete ball, and then she's seen people who risked getting shot at and murdered to get her out of there. Once they knew, when like, because she heard them talking, so she knew that they weren't who she was looking for. That's when she came back later and was like, "Yo, why did you help me even though you knew I wasn't who you wanted?" That's when Bear was like, "Well, you needed help." And I think right there was where she kind of opened up to the idea of, okay, you know what? Some of them fucking suck, sure, but some of them might be okay.
Yeah.
At least, with him.
I was
It reminds me a lot of the journeys that these kind of DC characters go through. Like this sounds a little bit reminiscent of like Wonder Woman at the end. For Peacemaker had a whole commentary on humans, right? But it kind of just sounds like this happened in a very condensed way, a little bit disjointed. But I feel like this is kind of a recurring thing with these humans or mutants or whatever the word you.
Meta
But
humans?
this metahumans, is that what they're called now? Sorry,
Yeah,
That's
I think
in
so,
this
yeah.
universe, yeah, but I kept saying Inhumans, but that sounded like Marvel to me. So, sorry, nerds. This sounds very familiar to me. This sounds like a piece with the struggle, but it just sounds like like maybe it happened too quickly for it to like really hit you in the feels like it does with all these other characters kind of term if people are worth saving.
Yeah.
yeah. I think she came in kind of somewhat to the end, and again, her focus was on Zod. She didn't care about the people at all. But so I thought it was interesting that they tried to make it seem like she cared about people. Because even when the battle scene came, she went straight to Zod. She didn't go anywhere else. Her eyes were on him the whole time.
But
When
I'm about to say, I mean, they did try to give her a softer lens because, like, when she's fighting Zod and that helicopter goes to crash, she stops it from crashing and tries to put it down gently before Zod just busts through it like the fucking Kool-Aid man and kills everybody on board. But she tried to save him.
okay. I just thought, we see her, she's floating in the air. A lot of soldiers are dying around her, and then she just flies back to Bruce
Well,
Wayne's
she knows what
mansion.
he's gonna do because he destroyed where she's from, so she knows like if she doesn't get rid of him, like he's going to also destroy this planet and all of these people.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why she corrects Barry because he was like, "Yeah, thousands of people are gonna die now." She was like, "Nah,
billions, whole world
with a B, dude."
It is a goner. As David mentioned, we found out that there is no Kal-El. He did not survive the DNA extraction.
So they got him out of there as a baby. So.
Got him out of there. Look at Sean's face. Yeah, the infant did not survive, as he put it. So, I mean, the battle was kind of tricky for me to watch because Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman. So it was hard seeing him not come out on top more than once.
I think Eric looked at me in the theater and was like, he dies? Like,
it shocked the shit out of me too.
Yeah.
Supergirl dying, I was like, whatever. I haven't built that connection with her. But Michael Keaton? You can't kill Mike. Well, you brought back Michael Keaton just to kill him more than once?
The first time they did it, where he attacks the mothership and then he dies, and then go back the first time when they both like genuinely think they can fix it. Like, hey, you know what? Here's where we fucked up. So here's what we're going to change. And Flash runs to the top of that. She was like, "Hey, yo, don't shoot. There's
a shield." Roger that. Roger that. I was like, who is this man?
Clean as a whistle. I was like, who the fuck is talking right now? And he just backed off. Like Batman listened to somebody and just said, "Oh, I'll do it your way instead," and just veered off. I was like, wait, Who the fuck is this?
I don't know. It threw me off too. Like that ship has a shield. Don't attack it. Sure thing. Roger that. I was like, you have tech that I know that you think can get through that shield. I know you're
Mhm.
not listening to this person on the ground who has no idea what your tech is.
Who you met yesterday? I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Talk about you just told us your ego is too big to accept a thank you. You think your ego is going to accept battle tactics from a 22-year-old? No. You're going to go for it. Um so yeah, it was tough seeing him not only kamikaze
For the
sacrifice himself in the first death, but
Yeah.
for the record, he did kind of go for it, and Barry was real fucked up in that part because after he veers him off, and Superman, I mean not Superman, but Batman decides I'm going to attack that gigantic Kryptonian, and Barry's like, "Oh yeah, please, definitely do that." Even though you just acknowledge that you, as the Flash, cannot kill a Kryptonian, you want Batman to try to do one. That dude beat Batman to death and didn't even really look like he did.
didn't even look like he did.
Like Batman died after that fight,
It was
and that
hard,
motherfucker just got up. He threw every explosive he had at that dude, and it was just like,
including
nope,
his head.
yeah, nope.
So
Sean, you
that
gotta
was
watch
like-
this movie.
I was gonna say we can come back, and I've already said DC had the answer to this, but I feel like Zod was the right villain for this movie. I feel like we've
Yeah,
that's where the villain didn't really fit, but Zod is the right choice in your opinions.
perfect villain for it. Yep.
I love Michael Shannon, and I love his version of Zod, and I will never say he was never the perfect fit for any movie. So I thought he was fine.
Well, I mean, like what they did with it timeline wise, and I know we didn't talk about it, but there was a part where the two Barrys are standing there when they realize that Zod is coming back. Well, that Zod is there, and Barry tells his younger self that he was actually there in his world when Zod showed up. He had just gotten his powers, and you get this really, I mean, like really heartbreaking story where he's like, I can't save. I thought it was fast, but I couldn't save everybody because Zod's got that world engine going, and all those rocks and people fly up, and he's fast enough to grab this kid, but he couldn't grab the kid's dad.
Yeah.
But he's still like kind of in the speed force, so he kind of takes the kid, covers his eyes, and turns him away. Because once the world engine stops, his dad gets crushed by this like gigantic boulder, and it takes that part of Zod's story, makes it personal to Barry, so that way when the final battle happens, you can see that he's already got skin in that game because he's lost to this guy once before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I don't really know who else you could have used as a villain to really drive that point home.
It was also sad seeing the
Yeah.
boy and the dad again, knowing that this time neither one of them are getting saved.
Yeah,
So-
both die.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody dies in that world, but those two
Everybody.
especially.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah,
Very
he was.
thoughtful answers because I really didn't know. I didn't know if this was a good fit or not.
Yeah, it was a good fit because they called it. They did a good way of tying it to another story or like his origin story. So it was
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
Also,
I'll
Michael
tell you,
Shannon.
Those are the
Great.
only two bad things. Like the fact that Ezra Miller sucks as a human being, and the fact that the CGI, like
Yeah.
I said, the baby scene perfect. Everywhere else where they use the CGI, it tightened it up a little bit, and this would have
Yeah.
been like,
Okay. Well, we'll get into what we didn't like about it. Just to wrap it up real quick, they don't save the day, which is not something that we're not used to hearing. They don't save the day. They actually go back to the Chrono Bowl. Is that what I've been calling it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to call it the Chrome Bowl for some reason. And I was like, I know that's not right. So they go back in there and they kind of have this internal battle with each other and find out that the person that threw him the first time and didn't let him go back to his timeline was a Dark Flash. And then they battle him out. Every problem has a solution. And he's using his mom's words that his mom told him in when he was younger to tell his younger self. Kind of heartbreaking, man. I actually teared up a little bit watching this movie when he went back and took the tomatoes out of his. I'm getting goosebumps too. When he took the tomatoes out of his mom's grocery cart and just
yeah,
had that moment of her and she's touching his face.
Yeah.
Man,
Definitely
Got
teared
me.
up.
right in the
Yeah.
chest, man. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Shauna.
And I was just
Shauna,
like,
you really gotta
better I
watch
didn't
this
see it.
movie, bro.
Probably
It's
better I
probably
didn't
better.
say.
Couldn't
I'm
handle
a
it, man.
hormonal mess. I probably would have just lost it. If
And
you
his
guys were
mom
all
definitely
tearing up,
knew.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
You
to
would have
step
lost
away.
it.
definitely,
I would have
definitely.
lost it.
His mom definitely knew that was him from the future too, right?
Had to have, because the way she was talking to
Yeah.
him,
The
like,
way she was talking to
Yeah.
him, she knew
yeah,
it was him. God
Mm-hmm.
it
damn.
was her son in sunglasses and a hat. She knew that was her son.
Yeah, it's definitely the mother
Yeah,
instinct.
yeah.
Yeah.
So sad.
Oh. But he had the really, really good idea of moving the tomatoes to the top shelf so that his dad, when he came to the store later, would look up and into the
Yeah.
cameras. So
Hmm.
when he returned to his timeline, his dad wins his appeal, gets out of jail, and he goes on that date with Iris.
No,
And we see George Clooney. And we get the F bomb that I completely don't remember happened, but I remember it in the moment because I remember laughing at it. So,
Yeah.
ta da!
Why are you saying no, David?
okay, so and this is where so I guess we're gonna like answer two questions here because you had a
Yeah.
question about the end credit scene where he's with Aquaman walking home or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Oh, I was like, who had a question? Oh, Mariah must have.
He didn't get and I might be totally wrong here, but he doesn't stay in that world because he doesn't get to win. Like Barry's whole thing is tragedy and loss. He's like Frodo. He doesn't get to win this. He puts the tomato cans up top. They're in court. Everything's great.
Yeah.
His dad looks up. Hey, world is saved. He walks outside. It's George Clooney. That's what's like the whole who the fuck is this thing? It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But the end game is he's not home yet, so he has to
Yeah,
leave
he's
that
in the
world.
wrong.
He has to go put those tomatoes back. And it's right, and it fucking sucks that he has to go put them back because that means that his dad is still in fucking jail because they don't get the right shot.
Wait,
But
what?
because so this same Barry just watched an entire universe die because hey man, look, we can't change the past anymore. It is what it
Yeah.
is. He goes back, he tries to save his dad. He's like, you know what? I can't save my mom. Okay, I won't save my mom, but I can save my dad. I can just put the tomatoes up top and everything's chill. And then when he walks outside and he sees George Clooney step out of that car, he knows he's got to go put those tomatoes
Oh.
back. He has to put everything back the way it was. His mom has to die. His dad has to spend the rest of his life in jail because if he
No.
doesn't, God knows what else happens, right?
Yeah.
No.
Because George Clooney gets out the car. Maybe he's not even a good Batman. Maybe in this world, Batman's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's still got them real hard nipples on his suit. But that's not a world Barry can live in. So
Yeah.
when they get to the end credit scene and he's talking to Aquaman, he's talking to his Aquaman, basically telling him he had that about his whole travel to all these different worlds and everything that he saw, but he's back home now in his real life where his dad's still in prison.
I didn't know there was an end credit scene.
Yeah.
I even did the thing where I was like inching forward through and I missed it somehow. So I'll go watch it.
But like I mean, but like if you take that with as
Yeah.
funny as the movie ended and as funny as the end credit scene is supposed to be, they don't really lead you down that road that he went home until
Yeah.
you listen to him and Arthur talking and he tells him like, yeah, man, I had to do all this shit to get back to my timeline. So he's back where he's supposed to be, but it's because shit went left.
Damn.
Hmm.
I thought something went right for the young fella.
Nah, it's it's like what they wanted to do with Ant-Man, but they actually did it right with this. Like the end of
And I
Ant-Man was
don't want
supposed
to
to be
do
kind of
this,
uneasy.
but with Spider-Man across the universe, across he has his dad has to die then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
Somebody got to go, man.
gotta go.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, okay. Oh, we already got that.
My bad. Hey, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong about that.
You're probably not. That
Yeah, that makes
sucks. I
sense.
thought I
Yeah.
was so excited for him. He had a hot date and everything.
Yeah.
Now it's gotta go. Damn. Well, Um, we talked about the F bomb. Um, Ezra aside, because I know we'll talk about that. What were some? Were there any other scenes in this movie that you were just like, this did not work for me?
So
No.
I'm gonna say the only scene that I really felt that way was a scene that we were just talking about at the courthouse, because we know he's not. Once George Clooney steps out of that car, we know he's not back in his own world.
Yeah.
Mm,
So at that point, where's where's this world's Barry Allen? Because everybody was expecting him at the courthouse.
Mm, yeah.
So, and I mean, like maybe the whole thing with Iris and his dad being so happy he was there, like maybe this world's Barry Allen kind of wrote all of that stuff off. I don't know, but in this world, I at least know that Barry is alive because nobody freaked out when he showed up to court.
Or is this like if Barry's not there, something secretly tragic has happened to him, and now this Barry gets to stay? Can you do that in this
Right?
or
No,
no? So he
I don't
can't.
know because they don't really get into where the other
Yeah.
like they never discuss another Barry in this whole
Mm.
courthouse scene. He shows up to this dimension. He runs into his apartment. He changes clothes. He runs to the courthouse. Dad's not guilty. Walk outside. There's George Clooney, so he knows he's not in the right place.
So
But we
this.
also know from the first time that there is another Barry there right now.
Right.
So before you gave your explanation about like the Aquaman scene, I was actually thinking that because he put the tomatoes, he altered his timeline. So that's why we see it's George Clooney. It's no longer Ben Affleck, because now in his own timeline, the one that he's supposed to be in, he's made
But
a
he can't alter
change.
his time. But like if
Yeah.
you go back to what Michael Keaton was talking about with Spaghetti, he can't alter his timeline. He's just in another one now.
Yeah.
Because his path was his path, but there's just another infinite amount of them.
So
But
that whole
again,
like
like
in just wasn't well explained, because I just was totally
right,
thinking that he could have changed his, and he changed his Batman. That's the one thing that got changed in his timeline after moving the tomatoes. But I guess if you're saying that he can't change his own, then it was just a poorly explained scene, I guess,
for
or a
for
weird
me
cameo.
for him to tell his younger self that they can't change the future, watch his younger self die two times. Watch both versions of his younger self die, and then go back and condemn his mother to death. If he gets to
Yeah.
win, if he gets to win on his dad's, then I feel like there's no real lesson there. I mean, because maybe he thinks he found an out, but if what he said before was true, there is no out.
Yeah.
well, now that David has killed my joy,
Yeah, I
of
would
the
just like
ending.
to believe still like he changed his timeline,
Yeah,
and the
no,
only thing that changed was Batman.
let's go that way. It's cool.
Fine. Um, so let's talk about the reception of the movie. Then we'll just give our overall thoughts and our grade. Um, at the time we looked at it, I think we looked at it just a minute ago. I think this movie's made a little over 200 million or something to that mark.
Yeah,
So not sure if it even made its money back yet. Um, James Gunn walked out of this movie watching it saying it was one of the best superhero movies he's ever seen. Some of the
Mhm.
other
Steven Spielberg said
Discovery
the
Plus
same.
WB execs were saying the same thing.
yeah.
And then when it got to the movie theaters, the crowd, the fans were like, "What are you talking about?" To the point where I think today on Rotten Tomatoes, this has about a low 60s score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of failed in the fans' eyes. Um, I know we talked about Ezra, so their leading man, who should be the one boasting, hyping the movie up, they were negatively in the spotlight, so they were not able to promote the movie as good or as well as they should have because
Yeah.
no one wanted to see them talk about the movie or them at
Yeah.
all. Um, there were some other thoughts about the movie. Eric Voss, I thought he came up with 5 points, and I want to see what you guys think about them as to why this movie flopped. Because to him, and kind of like to me, and what Dave just said, this was a good movie. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
in another universe, another timeline, this movie would have been successful, right? Like it's not bad at all. So other than Ezra, the Snyder fan betrayal, um, fans, this especially the Snyder fans, have been very adamant about what they like, and they really like the Snyderverse. They like
Yeah.
everything about it. They like the superhero setup. They like they like the cast. So when you tease to all these superheroes, you've got Wonder Woman in here. You've got not Cyborg, but you have just about everyone else in here.
Yeah.
The main figure, Henry Cavill, Superman. To hear that he shot scenes for this movie and you used 0 of them, there is that betrayal to these Snyder verse fans.
Yeah.
David,
He the dick, man. Like it's not a Zack Snyder movie, and I get it. He created this whole Justice League thing for you, but you got to be able to move on. And the Justice League movies weren't. The Justice League movie wasn't that good, and they did the whole Snyder cut thing to give you a better product, and it's 4.5 hours long, and it's still okay. You didn't go back and watch that shit twice. Nobody did, and if you did, I'm terrified of you because who could sit through that more than once? Like, do you remember in the Justice League movie, I believe, was when they did the Aquaman scene where he went back into the water. Bruce went and talked to him, and they had them white women singing on the shore when he was leaving, like it was a church service. You want more of that? That's what you want. That's the Snyderverse. That's what you want. The I
So what was the second thing?
that was
Oh, the third thing.
But Shauna, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I mean, like the Snyder fans, I'm with David in the fact that like just down a little bit. But the other thing is with the overhyping, I think that the change in leadership at Warner Brothers did James Gunn taking the helm at that point.
Yeah.
Like all of that happening, this was filmed under different leadership. Fans to have some of that kind of legacy go into, and I can't remember the timeline, but James Gunn promoted the rah, and everybody I think wanted to hype it up and we've got you. This is great.
Yeah.
But then like immediately after changing everything, and so I think that fans were already going through like way too much, like the back and forth, and it felt a little corporate to me. The overhyping of people, it just felt like they were trying to sell us, and I think that it just for me was it like especially like the reception from fans. It made all of those comments that came before genuine.
Yeah,
So.
right. I feel like they were forced to. I mean, they couldn't. Ezra wasn't out. I mean, they couldn't have him out on a press tour doing anything. So, like, everyone else had to step up to talk up this movie and promote it.
And that goes back to something David was saying earlier, the fact that because Ezra couldn't be the face of the movie, they had to find other things in the movie to make the face, and Michael Keaton became that face of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's why it felt so much like a Batman movie, because they had to put someone else as the face of the movie.
Yeah.
So they had to connect with us in some way. And Michael Keaton was the way. So Shauna, you actually talked about number 3. Number 3 was the fact that there was that James Gunn whole timeline cinematic universe reset where he clearly he talked about it before the movie came out. He talked about every plan he had for the movies that were moving forward. And it's like, well, where does this movie fit into it? If this movie doesn't fit into it, why do I care about it? So kind of thinking maybe wait until you talk about the entire timeline or the whole phase that you want to go through before, after this movie comes out and after Blue Beetle comes out, wait until those come out and then announce your plans.
Management was really raw. I know that this isn't to do with Henry Cavill necessarily, but it's Henry back and forth between Henry Cavill being or not being Superman. I think was really hard for people. I mean, I'm a Witcher fan, so like, oh, I'm not gonna be the Witcher. Everybody was like, holy shit, hold on, what? Then everyone went like, oh, he's gonna go get that Superman money, and then but then he really wasn't Superman, and that all happened in like 3 weeks. tops, and it
Yeah.
was
He
just
is getting
it
Henry
was
went through it.
wild.
and I'm
Ins-
not familiar with Henry Cavill. Is he a jerk or does
No,
he not
he's
he does not deserve anything? So
Oh,
that's
doesn't
sad.
deserve it.
no.
Aw.
And here's the thing: like Henry Cavill. I mean, first of all, he was perfect for Superman, right? He was perfect for playing in
The
The
Witcher.
Witcher. He was perfect when he did Mission Impossible Fallout, and he's a fucking super nerd on top of all of that. Like he's a dude who not because it became cool or fun, whatever. This motherfucker was probably 10 years ago sitting in a back alley in LA somewhere playing Dungeons and Dragons because that's what he loves to do.
Aw.
Like he's a fucking like he's a dot in the wool nerd, and it sucked to watch a studio that is supposed to be on the same playing field as nerds, at least understanding what we want to sell us a product, treat somebody like him like that.
Right.
Because he really thought he was going back to be Superman, and we were all fucking excited about it. And then I mean, and I get it. Like they hired James, he's got his own vision, and his vision is for a younger Superman. But Henry deserved more than that somehow. And I
or
know
j-
deserved is a weird thing to say in Hollywood, but he deserved a better exit than that.
yeah, that's what it is. It's just like the those like 3 weeks was insane.
Yeah.
And I don't there may be more overlap between the Witcher fans and DC fans than I know, but camps of fans were like, "What the fuck?" Like everybody was confused, and everybody felt bad for him because he announced his exit from the Witcher. He didn't necessarily say he was going to be Superman, but then he released a statement being like, "Hey, I talked to James Gunn, and I'm not Superman either. I guess I'll just go play." There was just nothing, and so that was also happening where I don't with Ezra Miller, and we thought for a minute we were going to get Henry, and then we really weren't getting Henry, and so it was just I think that the change man around this is just a mess, and I think again that goes back to like the overhyping of this movie, almost kind of like they were distracting and deflecting, but fans were, I think the DC fans just really got rolled over
Yeah.
to this, and I think it's hard for fans to kind of bounce back and say, okay, I did like this movie, genuinely. Like, damn, man, did you have to do us like that? Like, I think that's where it was really hard for people to buy into this movie too.
Yeah. It's crazy to me because in a world where they're like, yeah, Henry Cavill, you're out. Ben Affleck is out. Who else is? I don't even know what anyone else. But you tell Gal Gadot, you're in great hands. We love you
Well,
as Wonder Woman. No, they told me
As
that this
of
week.
That might not be true.
No, today,
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 3, not happening. She said,
There's
I
not-
just saw them.
said, I know,
yeah,
earlier this
Yeah,
week.
I just saw
they-
today like a post that she was all good.
I saw a
Is she
post today
not?
that
They-
she was.
Yeah,
I heard
I saw,
she-
That was
I saw
quick.
both. I saw both. I saw the one where she said that Wonder Woman 3 was in production and her and James
Yep.
were great and Peter was
Yeah,
like,
they had a
y'all amazing.
conversation and a meeting and
And then
everything.
they
and
love
then
her.
I
She had
and then I
nothing to worry
also
about.
saw the one where none of that actually happened.
It was like Monday to today, like Monday to Thursday. It was, and then today it was like we're not in production. Who's Gal? Like it was just it's Henry Cavill vibes again. We're like nobody's really fucking sure what's.
Yeah.
Except this time I want that to happen.
Yeah, I was about to say that won't hurt my feelings. I'd actually fine.
It's like I mean I want somebody else to be Wonder Woman. I just don't want them to change Wonder Woman's theme music. If that's
Yes!
possible.
Oh, the
When
Wonder
I heard the music, I got excited.
every time
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
Let's go.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
Because you hear the music before you see her. I was
Yeah,
like, yes,
yeah.
let's go. And then I saw her face. I was like, get the
Right.
fuck
I'm like,
out
oh
of here.
god damn it, it's still her. like you forget for a second what's coming around that corner because the music hypes you up so much.
Yeah.
I
And
thought it
it's
was
just
be
that-
like, where Superman, where you see like you don't see him, you just see the silhouette. So I thought it was gonna be like a
Yeah,
silhouette
nope.
thing. I was like, yeah, Wonder Woman, and then I saw her. I was like, fuck me, she's still here. Oh gosh.
Or again, the change
she was in the
management on
movie.
this. Oh, I mean, I meant more like long term. I also don't
Oh.
even know if we're calling it the DCEU anymore. And I don't know if that's a reflection of this movie. Like, I don't know.
God only knows.
They
Yeah,
gotta
this movie had a lot working against it.
Yes.
they gotta get some stuff
Um,
under control.
And it's
Speaking
weird
of which,
because go
go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead. No, I was about to say, like in a vacuum where all of these things aren't working against it, and the only thing we really had to worry about were a couple scenes of spotty CGI. This is $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
Easy.
To that point, the fourth thing that they thought it had working against it was the publicity. The fact that Mariah, to your point, when you saw it, you saw an unfinished version, but you didn't know you were watching an unfinished version. You thought you were watching the movie.
No, they told us at the beginning that it was not
What?
going to be the full version.
Well, that's weird. that's
But it was only like 2 weeks before the movie came out, so I was like, oh, it can't be
I was
like
gonna say
that
that's
big of a change.
that to me is the wildest part. Right, didn't you see that like right before it was being released? And yeah, it was.
Yeah.
She
It
won the
wasn't like you were
tickets.
seeing it. Yeah, you weren't
Yeah.
seeing it like 6 months.
No, it was 2 weeks.
You weren't like a test audience. It was like 2 weeks before, so to be like unfinished or not the full version. Like, what else were they? What were they doing?
How did they tell you that? In your email, on your ticket?
So there was like before the movie came up, 2 people came on the screen. I assume the director and someone, and were like, "Hey, thanks for coming and watching our thing. It's not the full version," and then that was it.
Wow. Wow.
But
Oh,
it
man.
almost was the full version. I think they didn't. I think they didn't want to have spoilers, like the George Clooney thing. That was cut out. I think they want to save that for the actual movie. And then there was a couple other parts that were like, but it was pretty much the whole thing.
I don't know.
We're surprised. I don't
What's
know.
that mean George Clooney for?
I don't know.
No.
But that was like the biggest chunk of movie missing was the end scene.
You know, it would have been wild if he had walked out the courthouse and the car pulled up, and it was DeVito like full combo pot, just walking out that bitch.
That's worth saving. Don't show me that. Don't show that in a pre-screen. Yes,
That nigga just biting a fish, just full on.
man.
Or that
Hey,
captain.
remember Awesome
like,
Con? We saw the dude cosplaying as him as his
Yeah.
Is that Cabo Cop pink? Man,
It was
that
fucking,
is
he had the
that's
umbrella and
iconic.
everything.
Man, awesome.
He
Sorry, Shauna,
walked
go ahead.
past the kids section, scared the shit out of him.
Gosh, he looked really good.
or the Tim Burton Catwoman. Get Michelle Pfeiffer back
That would have been nice
Michelle
too.
Pfeiffer.
Yeah,
as Catwoman.
Something.
That
I would have
she's
took
kinda
my
like-
chances on that one.
even just taking her like Selena Kyle, kind of like, oh, I've got my like cat-shaped glasses, and fans would know. Fans would be like, oh shit.
Yeah. Something.
Michelle Pfeiffer full on cat suit. My dad's out of prison. I'm staying. I don't know. I might stay. Shit.
So yeah, so the fact that there was an unfinished version and we saw something different, people, it was something else was reported on, then you see it and you're like, what? So that one. And then number 5, fan service misalignment. We kind of talked about it in the while we were recording, but if you're a fan of the Flash, you didn't get a lot of the Flash Easter eggs in here. You got a lot of Superman Easter eggs. You got a lot of Batman Easter eggs. So it's like if you were coming to see a Flash movie, you got the Flash storyline, but there was a lot of other stuff kind of tied into it. So just knowing your audience and knowing the fans of the movie, not just your audience, but the fan of the movie that you're bringing, and kind of catering to them or leaving some nuggets for them to find. There was a lot of Superman and Batman stuff in here, versus the Flash stuff. So those were Eric Voss's thoughts on why this movie flopped. But otherwise, he was like, I mean, spottiness of the CGI, but the writing was strong, the directing was strong, the movie was good. So it should have done way better than it did. And I think, Mariah, you talked about the fact that I think it beat out the Hulk, and that was it.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's it. I actually just looked. It did make its
this
money.
movie. This movie was better than Black Adam.
Yeah.
Way better than Black Adam.
But they did make their money back. So
Are we talking about the Eric Bana Hulk?
2008.
That's what I said. Okay, thank you so fucking much. We had this conversation before we started recording, and I said, "What's your Incredible Hulk? The one with Eric Bana?" And they were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
I was like,
That's
what?
Eric Bana. No, Eric Bana's before that. Eric Bana's like I was in high school when
he
that
was
came
the
out.
first one. It was
Yeah.
him and then Aaron and then Edward Norton. Yeah.
Yeah, Edward
Yeah, because
Norton
isn't
one.
that where we got Liv Tyler? And Liv Tyler is, but Eric Bana sure
Liv
is not.
Tyler.
He is not.
Why we keep letting her in movies? Has she done in movies? Hopefully she's done.
No.
No, because
Was this-
she's back.
was she-
She's
Was
back
she
in the
Heroin
Hulk.
before?
She's back the Hulk.
She's about to be in the Thunderbolts.
She's she's back in
Yeah.
the Hulk verse.
She's coming back to taunt me. She's doing this because she knows I was talking shit about her in the Lord of the Rings coverage.
She was in the Banner Hulk movie because
So somebody
Lord of
saw
the
that
Rings
acting
movie-
and said, "We need that in our movie."
Yep.
in our superhero movie.
Get out of here.
I mean, but now it's again math, but like now it's mathy time later, 2023, and she's back superhero. She did something right.
All right. So we talked about the movie, what we thought, so what our thoughts are on it. Where would you rank it? Tier wise. S, great. So far for our DC rankings, Peacemaker is the S tier. The Suicide Squad James Gunn version is A. Black Adam, depending on who you talk to, C, C minus, teetering on D. So
Real quick before we do this, Mariah, I know you watched Black Adam.
Yeah.
Where would you tier it officially?
If I'm gonna give this like a B plus, then I would have to give that like a C plus.
okay, a C.
Okay.
Plus.
Okay.
Shauna, did you manage to do that to yourself too, or did you not watch it?
I did not watch Black Adam.
No, you're better.
See,
You're better.
you don't
for
need
it.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're good.
No, you're okay.
Yeah,
You're good.
I didn't do that either. I have
Shauna,
a
do not
backlog. I
apologize.
mean,
You have nothing
I
to
had it.
apologize.
I had it at a strong D. So I don't know what
He
Denise
hates
is being so. Denise
I was
fought
gonna
for
say,
a
but
C
if I-
for it, so I don't know.
I did.
I remember
it
there
wasn't
was-
bad. We talked about it. Yeah.
there was some contention.
So
I feel
Mariah,
like
you
the
gave The
first thing
Flash
I
an
need
A?
to do is
B plus.
people.
what do you need to do, Sean? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say do Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. I still haven't seen that, so like that's my if I'm gonna sit down
Well,
for a
it's
superhero,
Yeah,
on
you gotta
Amazon
do that
Prime now,
one.
so
doing
yeah.
it.
At
I'm
least
doing
do
it, yeah.
that one.
I just need
Definitely
to
do
stay
that.
awake long enough to watch a movie. Is my problem. But like that's my priority right now is to get that
Top priority. Yes.
top
David,
priority.
Mariah gave this a B plus. What do you give this?
S. Like, yeah, I don't care fighting, whatever. S. I mean, like I said, this like there were some question marks on the CGI, but other than that,
I mean, if you
They-
guys put Peacemaker as an S, then I think
this is an
that
S.
this can be up there equally as an
I
S.
would give.
then.
I was going to meet in the middle and give it an A. I wouldn't say it's an S.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I have not seen a better written superhero movie to this point than that movie. James Gunn was not fucking lying. Steven Spielberg was not lying. This is the best written superhero movie I've ever seen in my life, ever.
Do you think it was kind of like the Black Adam, where if you switched out Ezra?
No, because
would-
I disassociated that. Like, I went into it and I said,
Okay.
okay, you know what? I'm like I said when I watched it, I was like, I know they suck, but I'm not gonna let that stop me from watching this movie. And I watched it, and it makes me angry that
Something
But I
about-
visually have to take away points. Like I can't give it an S
Yeah, I'm
with
not-
the
I'm
way
not
it looks.
S.
see if I have to do that, then I have to say that Wakanda Forever isn't an S because it lacked visually with its CGI sometimes. Spider-Man No Way Home
But
lacked
not like
visually with
this.
its CGI
Not
sometimes.
like this.
Mariah's including the baby scene, which I still maintain that CGI was
Mariah,
on
we
purpose.
can't take that out. We need
No, but the
Because-
suits, there was issues. There were issues throughout. I mean,
There was
not
one,
including
like-
the baby
What-
scene.
And the things they were CGIing, like him throwing up in Russia, that was CGI. You could tell. I'm like, why?
I'm
would
not-
you-
Like
They spent a lot of money on CGI and FX
the
visuals
way-
that they didn't need to.
the way that I felt watching this movie, the way I felt when it was over. I'm not going to discredit that because a couple of points of CGI were weak. because I didn't discredit it when I looked at the other movies and said, yeah, this is pretty weak too.
Can we
Okay.
give it an A? Let's make it let's meet in the middle, and make it an A.
I'm giving it an S.
I mean, you can give it what you want.
Right.
But
I mean,
So you're giving it an A, Denise?
what you
if
write
you
down
give
is
it a
what
B
you write
plus,
down.
David's
But
saying
David
S, and then
said
meet in the
David
middle
said S.
and say it's
No,
an
but no,
A.
don't meet in the middle. What are you giving it?
I would do A B. I could go back and forth between an A and a B. I can't go up to an S.
Coward.
Ooh.
No, it was an S tier movie.
It's not though. It's a good.
That I'm not weighing in at this point because the three of you can like. There's a tiebreaker here. There's not a split.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question for real. Let me
I haven't watched it, though, so.
genuine question.
Yeah.
Watching this movie, did you think it was going to end the way it did? Like when you got to the
I
point,
didn't think so.
like when you got to the point where you realized that they were going to lose, this world was going to die.
I have
Everything was
zero
falling
problems with
apart.
the writing. The script was perfect. I have zero problems
Yeah.
with the writing of the script. I think just the way some of the scenes came out. Otherwise I have no problem with the writing.
So you're telling me
Yeah.
you're telling me that with better CGI, this is an S movie.
An A.
I think it's for me is right
Well,
up
no,
there with like the Suicide. It's right up
You-
there with the Suicide Squad. I liked it as much as I did the Suicide Squad. I don't like it Peacemaker level.
Okay,
It's not
I got you.
Peacemaker for me.
Okay, hey, everybody has their own. I'm trying to be cordial now. I know I called you a coward. I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't have said that. You started flying between the A and B. You was trying to take the easy way out, man.
No, I really am looking at like what we've ranked it and everything before, and I'm thinking about it. I liked it as much as I did the Suicide Squad. I do not like it more than
Yeah, don't let him bully you into an S.
I'm not. You think I'm gonna let this boy bully me? Absolutely not. I've been his bully for 30 some years. I am not gonna let him bully me over this.
I've got physical scars on my body to prove that.
That's not even true.
She didn't hit me. She pushed me out of a shopping cart.
When did I do that?
Whoa.
When we went to when we were out, what was it, Harper's Ferry in Virginia Beach?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was in a.
You've got like 30-year-old trauma here.
I'm looking at it right now. I was riding inside the shopping cart and you were pushing me, and you pushed, and then the shopping cart tipped over, and you had a choice to make.
That doesn't sound like I did it on
You had a
purpose.
No, you didn't do it on purpose. It was a total accident. But then you left me. But then you left me there.
Well, I mean,
The funny thing about this story, this could have been when you were children, or could have been when you were like 20 and drunk.
I
For the timeline, I just can't tell.
I vividly remember I was fine, and I stood up and I looked at my wrist, and there was blood everywhere, and I started screaming, "I'm bleeding!" And Denise took
I was
off.
in the distance. I was out of it.
I just watched her run away, and then I had to walk. I had to walk home myself.
So,
oh man, yeah.
Good transition to ask the question that Mariah put in the chat. How would you handle meeting your past self? Is there a certain time? We're going to say for this exercise that time is linear. We're not doing this whole multi-dimensional stuff. Mm-hmm. Is there a certain period where you could go back and tell yourself a message? Go back in time and say, "Hey,
yeah,
this is gonna we're gonna fix this." Like, would you want to meet your past? Like, let's start with, would you want to meet your past self? And if you would, what would you want to tell your past self?
Would have to be very careful. Like
Mariah's very concerned.
I don't want to change the past, change the future or anything. So it would have to be a very subtle message that's not going to change too much, but you just don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I could maybe just watch from afar, like throw a note or something. Maybe like Shauna said, get into a disguise quick and then meet your past self and say something.
So it's it's
ball up and throw it in and run.
Like it's like moving the tomatoes. You have to do something where you your past self so that you look at something, have a thought. Like you have to plant the seed, but you can't actually deliver the message. You have to
Like the $20
The
bill on the
guy-
ground with a string. Like,
Yes.
throw it, a little message, or it takes it to a bush and then a note on the ground or something.
Oh gosh.
You have to. You can't just point out things. You gotta just
In,
very, very carefully massage.
in what capacity do I have to meet myself? Like, do I have to like shake my hand and like acknowledge the fact that we're both there, or like she said,
All
can
right,
I
I'll
just
say,
watch from
there's
a
your
distance?
rules. It was your question, so I'll say it's your rules.
Oh, I don't know. I only asked the question because you said that Shauna had rules. I was like, well, that's a good question.
Oh, yeah, Sean.
But I
So-
don't know. I just very
All right,
careful.
Shauna.
That's all I can
Shauna,
say.
here's where I'm at.
Oh,
I
no,
go
the
back in
pressure.
time to 2 a.m. Friday morning, right? I'm in my house. I come up to my sleep self's phone. I log into my lottery app. I put in the numbers for that 1.2 billion, I think, at that point, and I just dip back out. I wake up in the morning. I've won the lottery. I'm a billionaire, and future me is like, "Hey, we fucking did it, man. We lounging. We ain't got a care in the world." Puff Daddy played my birthday. It's not even
That's
my
an
birthday.
altar.
I just paid Puff Daddy to be here for a day. Like,
Mariah
that's
said party foul.
what she said.
Or all the family members that you didn't know you had tracked you down and you got killed.
Totally.
I don't know. That's
Absolutely,
too much.
lottery winners. But I think that abides by all, like how I would guide. If I. He's like, that's kind of how you do it, but you would definitely not want to, like, trip and fall and have your 2 a.m. self wake up and find you in the bed, like, because then you're gonna be really fucked up. Like, I just don't think
Might
you
get
can recover
killed.
from
No,
that.
I think me being the person I am, if I woke up and saw myself like, "Hey, man, I'm just here putting in lottery numbers and I'm out."
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably just go back to sleep.
But I think you got to do a small enough amount that it won't change your life, but enough that it was like
Nah,
good for the moment.
what?
Then
No.
you're changing the whole future. Like you got to
Yeah,
go out
but-
and back at a point in time when you really needed money, but you didn't have enough money, and you were able to
Friday
like
at
put a couple
Friday at
thousand
2
in.
a.m.
Put a couple. But I like that you didn't go far. You just went like a week.
Yeah, I'm going.
Oh, you know what? Actually,
a quick 6-day
no.
hot back.
David is smart. You don't go like so far back in time. You go like a day back or 2 days back, where you can
Yeah.
change, where not too much future is going to make a difference.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
David,
not-
okay.
I'm on it. I'm all
Go back
for
to
it.
There you go.
Tuesday when that Mega
Go
Millions
back.
drawing happened.
That's what I'm
7
saying.
days. That's all you get.
It went to somebody in Florida, and I know nobody in Florida deserves 1 point whatever billion dollars. So
No.
I wouldn't even feel bad about taking that one.
Yeah.
That's smart. I'm going back at least 7 days, but no more than that.
I feel like these parameters are good, because yeah, I was gonna even just pass out. I probably wouldn't, that interaction, if I did have to come, go well. I don't think it would. I'd be like, God damn it! Oh, you have too much. Oh, hi, babe.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of pressure, man.
It is.
Could you imagine having to go back and talk to your former self? That's a lot of pressure to not fuck it up.
Yeah. Oh
It
yeah,
is.
too much.
Not to
Yeah.
just grab yourself and shake yourself, and then, I mean, quick story, David. There was a time, Alicia, our sister, was talking to my my son, who at the time was like maybe 5 years old, and he didn't want to do his homework. It was something simple, and my sister grabbed him, and she basically was like, "You need to do your homework. Do you know why? Because you'll grow up and you'll this, you won't do that." And she took him and she started shaking him, and so almost in tears, and all of her adult problems came out on this 5-year-old little boy on the things that could happen if he didn't do his homework. I mean, the problems he would face down the life if he didn't do his homework. So going too far back, all of your problems, everything you know, you will take out on your younger self, and
Release
it
a whole lot
will
of
not
trauma.
be pretty.
I have never.
I know this is what I was thinking. I was just like, I don't know what I would be able to tell a younger.
Right.
Wouldn't be too much.
Yeah.
Like, or like just enough. Like, even then, like, okay, like, be kinder. I'd be like, fuck you, I'm fine, I'm great. Like, it wouldn't
listen
go
to you,
well.
You
future
idiot,
self.
we're not going to be great.
I bet Ezra Miller wishes he could go back in
Who do you
time.
think you are?
Oh, God.
Oh man.
So, yeah. David, that's a good idea. Don't go back too far. Tuesday's
Nah,
Yeah.
a couple days,
Yep.
yeah, man.
Yep. Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be not even like the Mega Millions. It could have been like the Powerball, like 175 million.
Oh my
I
God.
Anything.
Right, I take a
Yeah.
smooth 80 million right now.
Who wouldn't?
Right,
I'd take
But
one,
then-
to be honest.
it's me or some 90-year-old dude in Sarasota. Like I feel okay about taking it.
Yeah.
But then, if you have the power, do you end where you go back like every week, but only so
Nope.
many days, and
Nope.
then you
Nope.
end up, or do you
I
just
go
use the
nope. I
power
go back
once
one time.
and then
One time I hit the lottery, and everything after that is I'm on borrowed time anyway. So
I feel like I would be keep going back and make like tiny adjustments that I would end up in this.
Well, that's the issue. People with the power
That's right.
to do something like that, they do abuse it.
if I didn't
Yeah.
fix it, with $1 billion, I cannot fix it.
It's unfixable.
It's something fundamentally wrong with me, or it's just one of those fixed points in the universe that's never going to change. But if $1 billion didn't do it,
Nothing will.
nothing's gonna fucking do it.
Yeah.
So, Shauna, to answer your question, we're fine. We're going to go back to Tuesday. We're playing the Mega Millions.
And that's
And
it.
we're final answer.
I mean, it's a plan. This is a good plan. As long as you don't end up abusing the power, but I think this is a good plan because also
David, I
Yeah.
would
it
like to
reminds.
note that
It's
our
$1
very first
billion.
question for
I
Shauna-
abused it.
Our very first question to Shauna, when she has time travel powers, David, is why isn't she going back in time to do something about slavery? Meanwhile, we're like,
If you had just said $1 billion, I would have understood. If you had just said, I just want to go back and get $1 billion real quick.
you're like, forgiven. We understand. So,
Just give
Just
like
give me a
200 million
bill
to
and we're good.
the United Negro College Fund and just like
Shauna's Canadian. She had nothing to do with it. She's taking the $1 billion.
oh my God.
oh man.
I
Donate
think-
something to the Negro College. Call it
Oh
even.
man.
Even Steven. Um, any last thoughts about the movie before we get into the fun that I have, and then we wrap up?
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I am angry that Ezra Miller is such a douche because so here's what we could have had, and I want you to kind of picture this, right? We could have had a Flash who couldn't save that kid's dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who could not save his mother, who could not save his father, who had to watch himself die twice, and who had to realize that he needed to let a world die. That's the
Oh, yeah.
Flash. That's the Flash we could have had moving
Yeah.
forward in the DCEU or whatever you want to call it. Ezra Miller is a generational talent, and had they not fucked up so severely, everybody wins in that situation. Because, like you said, if they were going to move forward, they could have done a Reverse Flash,
Mhm.
and that would have been so fucking cool to see. Because
Yeah.
they got the right Flash this time. If they do Flash again, I don't know if the next Flash is going to be as good as Ezra is, because he set a really high fucking bar.
Oh yeah, he's my favorite one. I did not like the Smallville one.
No,
I do like the CW guy, but then when Ezra came out in Justice League, it was like this is him.
right?
He's
That's
it.
He
it.
played it so well.
You like
Yeah.
he is the embodiment of understanding why some people are only on television and some people draw you to a movie theater.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it's weird how human beings work like that, but that human being has that thing that could get people into a movie theater, and
Yeah.
they wasted it on something like each thing individually was so fucking stupid and petty, but also wildly abusive to the point where I don't want to see you again.
Mm.
Like if there's another Flash, I'm not in, because like this one was already made. There was nothing they could do about it. They were
Yeah.
like, look, we can cut our losses and not put it out, or we can just put it out and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I took this one in, but there won't be a next one for me if they're involved in it. And I
No, and I don't know how how much did you guys know about like Ezra Miller's like incidents before the movie? Like, were you all caught up like to what everything that had happened?
I was just
Or
I
all
was
the
more I was more
allegations?
headlines. I was more headlines as I was going through Twitter and seeing the tweets
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
seeing
Yeah.
every now and then people commenting. I
Because
didn't deep dive into articles or anything.
I didn't. I mean, I knew about like the Hawaii bar assault stuff, but I didn't like. No, I think I even I think I deleted the TikTok that I made because I was like, do you separate the art from the artist? Like, I really loved them, but then I like read more about like the grooming and the burglary, like he was like, and just some of the other stuff. I actually print out a little sheet of all the stuff because I was like, it's like thing
Damn.
after thing, and I had no like idea. Like I thought it was just the mental illness, like the bar fight, Hawaii stuff, and I was like, well, that's not. I mean, that's bad, but that's not like terrible.
Yeah, like
but
David said, it was
not.
It sounded really stupid, but then there is some like like the grooming allegations, like holding people kind of as hostages or kidnapping, kind of all shacked up in this house, all kind of following him. Like they're just some stuff got really, really bad, and I was kind of following it too because at the same time he was also being propped up to the Fantastic Beasts franchise as this stuff was happening too. So he was like was really involved in like banking him, and so especially on the heels of Johnny Depp being Fantastic Beasts, people were like looking at WB like, what are you going to do something about Ezra too? What's going on? What is happening? How is there are there made, are there not? So I it really put me off. It really put me off. Just it got too much, and I don't know what the right answer is, but it just turned me off of kind of all of his work, their work.
They are somebody who does not need any more money or influence because they do not know how to use that properly. So
yeah.
Well,
quiz time.
Fun time.
Let's get this quiz.
Woo! So from the movie, we learned. We found. Well, I mean, I think we already knew it. Barry Allen is he has a day job. He's a superhero with a day job. So not all of these heroes are out just fighting crime all day long. Some of them have to make a hard earned living like the rest of us. So I have a quiz where we're going to try to guess who is that superhero? What is their day job?
Are we writing this down and like showing it, or are we just shouting it out?
If you want to.
I have nothing to write with or on.
Okay, well, then
just
we'll
one at a time.
I don't know if you want to raise your hand or if you just want to yell it out, however you want to do it. But the first question I want to ask you, do you want easy mode or hard mode? So
hard
easy mode
medium.
is... Okay, first of all, there's no medium. I said easy.
Hard mode.
Second of all, easy mode is I will tell you their superhero name. Hard mode is I will tell you their actual name.
It doesn't matter.
Actual name.
So hard mode.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess to signal to me that you have it, either you yell it out or you can just say, I don't know. Maybe we'll start with yelling out. We'll see how that goes. So we start with a softball one. Barry Allen. What was his day job? No.
Forensic.
Well, I
scientist.
guess, but
forensic.
They actually kind of said it, huh?
Forensic analyst.
Yeah, he's a forensic evidence analyst in a crime lab. Well, I mean, if you hadn't just watched the movie and they actually said forensic evidence,
I would have known because I've watched every season of Flash also. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next, I'm gonna try to go. Some of these, some of them, it is their actual day job. Some of them are kind of like pre-hero and they're kind of still dabbling in it. Kind of trying to find people with superheroes or actual day jobs is kind of hard. But next, James Rhodes.
Politician.
High up in the military and advisor to the president. I don't. Wait, are we talking
scientist?
I would say both of those. He's either a soldier or he's a politician. I don't know what he does these days.
Kind of a liaison for both.
I didn't even have the answer.
I would say Shauna was closest with the military.
Shauna was closest.
Yeah.
Okay. So David's got one. Shauna's got one. Okay. Matt Murdock.
Lawyer.
David. He is an attorney. I was trying to figure out if he's a prosecutor or a defense, but I feel like he can go either way
Defense.
depending on who.
No, he's a defense attorney.
Yeah. Is he?
Yeah.
Lawyer, but I wasn't gonna get. I wouldn't have gotten that.
I just said I
Good
just
job.
wrote down attorney. I feel like I never knew if he was defense attorney or prosecutor. I feel like it was just depending on who he
I
was.
feel like if you're a prosecutor, you work for the state. But he's got his own practice.
Jake
Right?
Lockley.
Wait. Because this is important. Do we not know how the law works?
What?
I mean,
do we not have a fundamental understanding of how the law works? Are there private practice like prosecutors?
I
Are there
would
people
say
just
because
I
I would
would
say
say
that there's
I've never-
also, I would say there's also like public defenders.
right? But
Oh, he
that's
was a public
because
defender, right?
right, but that's because everybody is entitled to a lawyer, right? But
Right, but you said that practice, but I don't.
yeah, but are there private practice prosecutors?
There's probably for
Oh no,
I don't.
I hope there can't be, right?
You can
You
Google
know
You know
what?
what? Let's us all
Yeah,
take a
I'm
moment to
gonna-
be thankful that we've never had to really.
I was about to say I've
know what?
never needed an attorney. Knock on wood.
so yay for
I
us.
don't know how this life works. Are you really
Yes.
googling
Yeah.
that right now?
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
I can't even remember. I did somebody. Oh, I think I said. Jake Lockley.
Oh shit, Jake Lockley. Oh man, cab driver.
Yes,
Yeah.
David. Who is Jake Lockley?
Moon Knight.
Moon
Yeah,
Knight.
Moon
That's
Knight.
one of his alter
Alter-
egos, and that alter ego happens to be a cab driver. Who's next? Lunella Lafayette.
Scientist.
She is a baby scientist. She's also a student. So,
Students.
wanted to
Was-
put it
is
very
that-
important. Her day job is that she is a student, but
Is that
baby
Dino
scientist
Girl?
I will also accept. What'd you say, David?
Is that Dino Girl?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Moon Girl.
Moon Girl. Yeah.
And dinosaur. That's so cute. I love that one.
Isn't she cute? Kent Nelson.
Mm.
I will give you a hint because I don't know if you all, maybe you don't know who he is. He was in the movie that we talked about previous to this one.
Is that Dr. Fate?
It is Dr. Fate.
Is he a dentist?
He is
Evil
not.
scientist.
Not a dentist.
No, nor is he an evil scientist.
Book
Doctor.
historian.
He's
Oh
an
yeah, was he a doctor of archaeology?
Just-
He's an archaeologist.
oh,
Okay.
Yep, he is an archaeologist. Henry Philip Hank McCoy.
Oh, he's a scientist.
He is. He's also a professor.
I'm cat.
Part-time what?
Cat.
Oh,
Yarn and part-time yarn enthusiast for sure.
for sure. Theodore Ted Salas.
Oh.
The hint on this one is we definitely should have ranked this higher in our MCU tier rankings, but I was the only one.
Was it a man thing?
Yes.
Was it a professional B-list actor? Is that what?
Shut the fuck up. He was also a scientist, jackass. So Man Thing was also a scientist. Ugh, hate you. Last but not least, and this one I thought was a fun one. I just found this casually while I was looking this up. Bobo T Chimpanzee.
Entertainer, scientist.
That's what Sean is going to for each of us. No,
Um,
he's not.
Circus monkey.
Zoologist.
No and no. One more guess. Let me see if his powers or abilities will help you guys.
Assassin.
Genius level intellect, ability to talk to all animals. He's a skilled swordsman and marksman. He has the inherent attributes of all the Earth chimpanzees. Very last attribute, and this will tell you what he is. He's an expert detective.
Detective.
He is a detective. His hero name is Detective Chimpanzee.
I feel like a fucking idiot because you said that, and I was like, wait, what is he now?
Detective Chimp. What? He's Detective Chimp. He is a.
I was
You said
trying
he had
to
this.
think, did they make this an animated one? In my head, I can
Hit
see like a
Monkey
chimpanzee
was
with
the
a
animated
sword.
one that you're
Hit
probably thinking
monkey.
of.
That's where my brain was trying to go, and it was just not working.
I was
for me.
thinking Hit Monkey, but I wasn't sure if he had an actual name, and I didn't look him up. And I was like, but I also wasn't sure if he was a hero. So his kind of got a little weird, and I was like, I don't know.
That was good. That got progressively harder. That was nice.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Yeah.
Good job.
I
Good job.
apologize on the James Rhodes one because I needed another one. I didn't have a lot, and I was like, I genuinely don't know what he does.
No, that was a good one because I mean, I don't really know what he does either. So
Yeah, I think he's
Shows
just
up in
like a
suits and comes to important things.
person when
Yeah.
he's not
Well.
captive.
or a scroll.
Oh
Well, this
yeah.
thing as a political advisor, so really it's just when he's prisoner.
I mean, I would say spoiler warning, but none of y'all watched that show anyway. Not y'all. I know y'all watched it, but nobody listened and watched it. So
I ain't watched that show.
it was great show to the last episode, man.
Well, that wraps up another week for us. We liked The Flash. Gave it an A. Some of us will argue and say an S, and I know, David, but turned out to be an A movie for us.
Yeah, man.
Mariah, do you want to close this out?
Well, we said it at the beginning. Just make sure that you guys follow us on everything. Facebook. I don't know why I said that first. Like that's important. Instagram,
God
TikTok.
damn.
I mean, I just don't post on there. So, but oh my God! But we are live on Facebook. So if you're watching us right now on Facebook,
Damn, Mariah.
thank you.
Hey, you're definitely still cool if you watch us on Facebook.
Damn, Mariah.
We really appreciate you.
Don't think any less of you at all, man.
But yeah, if you follow us on like Instagram, TikTok, or even like go into Spotify, Anchor, like give us a review, leave us some comments, tell us, what you think, what you'd like more of or less of, or if there's topics we haven't talked about. I think right now we mentioned earlier, like the strikes going on, some new things, but not really. So if there's like an old, I don't know, trilogy or an old movie that you think would be fun for us to maybe watch for our first time and talk about it, let us know.
Yeah, like maybe Back to the Future. I feel like it's probably something I should probably watch.
Maybe, man. Maybe.
Maybe.
One day.
A lot of references after that. You'll look back at nerd and go, "Oh, this is what they were talking
This is it.
about." But there's
I don't
a
know,
lot
we'll
of them.
We'll see. Maybe I'll understand a lot of Rick and Morty references, but I don't know.
You've never
Anyway.
wondered what like a flux capacitor was and nothing. You had to have
I
heard that.
know.
It's
I've
just like,
never wondered. I don't even know if I've ever heard those words spoken out loud.
Oh.
Anyway,
All right. Well, shit.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Mariah and I are thing.